And this is a Potty Time Jam. I like what's happening.
Sonny Von Cleveland.
Sonny Von Cleveland.
SVC.
SVC. Autobots, unite.
Get that waste out of here.
Remove the waste. Hi, Cory.
Hello today, Sonny. I would like to say hello and welcome, and I want to make sure before anything gets said that you feel very comfortable and seen and welcome and safe to kind of speak your mind and know that I'm here to just to be a platform, a vessel, just a space for you to lend your friendship, because I know that you and I, this is still the very beginning. This may be the second conversation we've ever had, and I feel really good about it. And I want to
pretty good about it too. Let me just check my comfort levels. Yeah, that one's good.
How do you check?
Biff, you good? Biff's good. We're good to go.
Nice.
I think everything's good.
Can you teach me how to check my comfort level? Is there a signal that has to be sent somewhere?
There's an internal checklist that you have to. Mm-hmm. It requires first that you sit back, and then see, and then when you're in this zone, you're allowed to go. Everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's good. Yep, good. I'm good. And you always have to check with your co-host, because you got to make sure everybody in the room's comfortable, right? And Biff is a person in the room, right?
I have a minion right here, and he thinks he's good. He says everything seems pretty good. He's got
what
a
did
fish.
He say? What did he actually say to you though? Yes. That's what I was hoping he said.
Yes. That's the minion. His name is also Biff. It's really weird. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make it awkward.
That's weird. That's weird. His name is Biff, as my minion is Biff. I like it.
So you were telling me that you kind of went ham on having a bunch of shows and a bunch of podcasting. You were broadcasting just like I am, with
broadcasting and podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
I actually met my wife on a podcast, actually, oddly enough. That's how I met my significant other, my better half, the good-looking one in the group. And on her podcast.
Oh yeah, what's her podcast?
Oh, she has a podcast up called Boot Camp for the Mind and Soul.
Oh,
where she does some awesome interviews and conversations with some pretty extraordinary people, like FBI hostage negotiators, cancer survivors, people that have amazing stories. And then I somehow got on there.
You negotiated yourself onto that program.
Yeah, I think it was a bribe. She thought she was getting a rock star, and she got a nerd. It is what it is.
I frequently
seem to have worked. I've done something, and my charms worked.
I frequently have misled people that way. Oh, you think you're getting a scary, angry wrestler? You're getting some soft nerd who's just going to talk about feelings and treat you with love and respect.
Right.
Darn it. You wanted a bad boy. You wanted a rock star.
You thought you were getting that. And it turns out I'm a nice, kind, comparing. That's compassionate and caring in one. I like to amalgamate words.
Well, I have to say, I'm not one for comparing. I am pretty anti-comparing. I'm not really anti-comparing. I'm just so not comparing that
it looks anti.
It looks anti. Yeah, but I'm not going to go out there and be like, march and hold a sign. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Stop it.
Were they canceling comparing? We're canceling comparing. Damn it. I love it.
Compare a daughter, not a compare a son.
Oh, I see what you did there. Because there's no, you got to be respectful of everything. So it can't be a comparison anymore. It should be a comparison. Compare
they.
Compare they. We are changing it to compare they. That is the new sentence. It's not a comparison anymore. It's a compare thing. Imagine if we had to change every word that had son in it. Do you know how many words you'd have to change?
All the ones that have son in it.
We couldn't even say person anymore. It'd have to be a per they.
Per they.
Because you can't say person. Terrible. Cory, Kastle, terrible.
What I was thinking about earlier today was about how, like America, they fled from the British, right? So like the country was founded on freedom from the
oppression.
British. But like the first one is like freedom of speech. But then think about like how like the British people can kind of just say whatever the hell they want, and people don't dissect everything they say and go, "What the hell did you mean by that?" And in America, everybody is upset about everybody saying anything, and like are out to cancel everybody for words. But like
it's nuts.
People in England don't cancel each other for words they say.
No, they don't. It's an American thing. Right?
Yeah, it feels very American to cancel people for words.
If you got serious about it for just a second, I think it comes from a lack of self-worth, right? It comes from a need for validation and attention, right? Because if you feel insignificant about yourself or you have low self-worth, then you're dying for some type of validation. And how dare you say that? And now look at me. I'm the victim. Look at me. Give me attention. Feel bad for me because I'm offended that someone said something that offends me.
Right. And it goes back to full circle comparisons. That person's life might be better than mine.
Compare they. You almost said it with a. It almost sounds like you're talking with a lisp. Compare they.
Compare they.
Right. Yes.
But it's really funny and cool to find out if I'm comparing us, you and I. I also met my girl on a podcast. My woman. Our first conversation we ever had was her being a guest on my podcast, and that was set up by one of you and I have a mutual friend in Oracle of Apollo.
Oh, yeah.
Dominique. She's friends. Yeah, she's friends with Alyssa and friends with me. And she was like, "Hey, my friend Alyssa was a singer on this show on Netflix, and she'd be a good interview for you to have on your podcast." And then that was our first conversation we ever had. And
nice.
And here it's been over 2 years now.
And does Alyssa zing to you?
She does zing to me.
Does she zing to you?
It did sound like you said zing.
Zing. I did say zing, actually. It's a zestful singing. It's another amalgamation of words.
Well, zing. I thought zing is more of like bust each other's chops. And you're like,
oh yeah, bazinga,
zing, yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, maybe she zings you as well.
But
zing,
also
zing out loud. Zing for the moment.
Zing with me. Zing for the year. But, oh yeah, and this chair, this very chair that I sit in, was a gift from Dominique. Gave me this chair that I'm sitting in right now.
Nice.
So nice. I helped her move a couple weeks back, and she gave me this chair. So you'll notice I'm more active in movie and stuff. That was
you're more aerodynamic in that chair right there.
Anybody who normally watches the show and sees how stiff I've been for the last couple years, notice I'm not as stiff now. I can move all over the place.
Thank you, Dominique. You are amazing.
Thank you so much.
Right, she's incredible, and her new car is pretty dope, and I'm slightly jealous of the new car.
Yeah, so it is pretty.
I'm just
pretty
putting
rad.
that out there, so when she sees this, just know, Oracle of Apollo, that I'm jealous of your car. Just saying.
And her dog has the same name as her car. Her dog is named Cooper, and she drives a Mini Cooper.
Wow. Serendipity. No, she's awesome, man. We've had I've been on her show a couple times. She's been on a couple of podcasts of mine. We met through Lauren Harris, who I seem to have met a lot of people through Lauren Harris. And Lauren is a pretty amazing dude with what he does in life. So yeah, met some good people through him, and Dom's awesome.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about comparing, like, and really kind of dive a little bit more deeper into that, as far as like, it's a little healthy sometimes to understand who you'd like to be by comparing yourself and going like, let me strive more for that, not comparing yourself and then being jealous of people. Like that's like
no, yeah, I totally agree. I believe in. So what a pivotal change in my life. Here comes the first bomb. Ready? I served 18 years in prison, and while I was there, I did 19 months in the whole one particular stretch where I really changed my life around. And one of the lessons that I learned in that time was finding how to sculpt your personality to the person that you want to be. And because anybody can be any way that you want to be, you can have the personality you want to have, right? Your personality is not like something that you've been given and you have no control over, right? You can be whoever the hell you want to be, right? Because nobody can tell you what you can and can't be. And so you pick 3 people that you strive to be like, and I pick The Rock, and I pick Denzel Washington, and I pick George Clooney, because these 3 men kind of epitomized the way I would like to represent myself. Not necessarily, copying them or being like them, but taking facets of their characteristics and implementing them in my own life. And so I do, right? Like The Rock has such an infectious smile and personality, right? And so I learned, if you smile a lot and you're nice, people will gravitate towards you. And Denzel Washington is the epitome of wisdom, and he's such a humble human being, right? And he uses the life experiences that he's been through, and he never gives up. He's never quit. When Denzel Washington first started out in acting, he was just getting rejected all the time, and he never quit, right? And so I used that as well. And then George Clooney, and it's not even George Clooney as George Clooney. It was more so George Clooney
him as Batman.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No,
with the nipples on the
absolutely. Suit. No, he's probably near the bottom of that list when it comes to Batmans.
Not just George Clooney, but George Clooney as Batman. Let's not get
George Clooney from Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
I love
Gecko
his
Brothers
character. I love his character, Seth. Or Seth was the other one. He was
it Gordon? I don't remember what the name was.
I fail miserably now.
I can't remember what the first.
I definitely don't think it was Gordon, but
no, it was something that was uncommon. It was not. It was not a common first name.
Yeah, and I really like
watch it be Joe or something, and it's the most common
like Jeff. But I really liked his character in that show because that guy had balls and that guy was brave, and that guy, while he was not a good dude, his character was very forthcoming, very outspoken. I speak my mind, I speak my piece.
You were
I
right.
say what I want to say. But also George Clooney from like Ocean's 11, 12, 13, however many they made, those characters. And I like George Clooney as a human being because he's also a very intelligent person, a very kind and compassionate person. And so I use those three men as as a template for the characteristics that I want to exude. And so I did. And I rebuilt my character, or rebuilt my persona, my personality, and became very happy with myself, because who I was before that was a very angry, hurt, not nice human being. And I came to be really remorseful about who I was. And so that kind of compelled me to do that. So I agree with what you said there about, some comparisons can be healthy, right?
How far into the 18 months did you decide on those three people? Did you like have a whole list of people, or did you journey through like a lot of darkness first to get to that point?
I definitely
18 months.
I definitely went through some dark times to get there. It was not a quick process. We're actually writing a book about it right now. My wife is writing the book. She's co-authoring the book with me, because I suck at writing, and she does the opposite of that.
Hey, excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I would prefer if you wouldn't say that my friend sucks at anything, and maybe just say that that's not your strongest feature is writing.
Well, your friend is not very good at writing. We'll call it
that. Yeah.
But yeah,
I can get stuck in a pattern. If I say I suck about anything, I will say I suck about everything, and then I'll start like talking bad about myself, and everything spirals down. So
yeah, you have to eliminate self-negative talk. Yeah,
right.
And that's actually a really big thing in mental health. And so yeah, I had to go through this journey of self-discovery and acceptance and authenticity, and you have to be honest with yourself, right? And when you're stuck in a box for a year and a half, you get to do that, right? Like you have to do that. There's no escape. There's nowhere to go, and you don't have to, right? Like there are guys. I've done plenty of stints in the hole, 6, 8, 9 months in the hole where I was just the same person, right? But it was the man across the hall from me, a Muslim man, who he's the one that invoked that desire to change, right? Because at this point I was probably 27 years old, and I would already been in prison for I don't know, 10 years or so at that point. And I was tired, right? I was tired of what the hell I had become, what I was going through. And he asked a couple of very provocative questions, and they don't seem provocative, but they are when you have time to think. First question he asked me was, "Why are you so angry?" And I mean, I spazzed out on this man because he used to call over, hey, white boy, come talk to me. And so I'd spaz out on him. Why am I so angry? What the fuck kind of question is that? I'm angry because I'm in prison. I'm angry because my life sucks. I'm angry because you won't shut up. You keep calling me. No, man, that's why you're mad. There's a difference between being mad and angry. Mad is on the surface. Anger is deep rooted. What are you angry about? And it stopped me dead in my tracks. I'm like, well, shit, I guess I don't know. And so I went and paced my ass off. Why am I angry? And it came, to the surface is just being honest with myself. I've been a victim my whole life, right? Second bomb. When I was 5 years old, I started getting molested by my uncle. And over the course of the next 5 years, I was molested by 4 or 5 different men constantly. Every week or two, I was some dude's plaything. And, it takes a real psychological toll on a child that's 5 years old, 6, 7, 8 years old, that's just constantly being molested, right?
And it's just trauma that you have no idea why it's there.
And because of that trauma, when I was 7 years old, I acted out. Here comes the next bomb, right? 7 years old, I got arrested and convicted of a felony at 7 for breaking into a church and stealing some like pudding cups and playing cards, and they charged me with a felony. And I fell in love with the attention from the police officers, right? Because these were men that didn't want to hurt me. These are the first men in my life that wanted what was good for me, were like disciplinarians, and were good people. They weren't nice. They were strict people that were, you're a bad kid, knock it off. You better straighten up, blah, blah, blah. But in my little victimized mind, I needed that, right? I needed some male authoritarian attention in my life. And so the only way to keep them around was to keep breaking the law. And so I kept breaking the law. And then, I destroyed my whole family when I told my mother that my uncle was molesting me, right? We used to have a big family, cousins, aunts, uncles. Everybody goes to grandma's house for holidays. We all, eat big meals and celebrate Christmases and Thanksgivings. And then when I told them that my uncle had been molesting me, they didn't believe me. They thought I was lying. Yet the man was arrested, convicted, and sent to prison for 15 years. And it shattered my family. They all thought I was lying, right? They're all, how do you think I'm lying? We went to court and the man was convicted, right? Like, I didn't just make this shit up, right? And then, some years later, it turns out, well, he molested most of the cousins and grandkids. And now it's like, but in my young mind, keep your mouth shut, because the threats that he had made to me when he first started molesting me, don't say anything or I'll have to hurt you. I'll have to hurt your mom, and I'll have to hurt our family. And I didn't want that to happen. So I didn't say anything. And then when I do say something, what he said was right. My whole family got shattered, right? My mother became a different person and became an angry woman. And I didn't see grandma and grandpa as much anymore. And I never saw cousins, and I never saw aunts and uncles. And I knew that everybody, I felt so much shame, right? That when her boyfriend, the next guy that decided to molest me, I didn't say anything, right? And it's not a secret in my little community. So these men know that this has happened to me. And I think that's probably why they targeted me, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, I must have a big freaking flashing neon sign that says molest me, because it happened so often, and I never told on them. I never told on anybody, right? Because I saw what just happened when I told on my uncle. I'm not going to do that. And so I'm stuck in this perpetual cycle of break the law, get into trouble because I like that attention. And then I'm getting my ass whooped constantly by my mother because they can't figure out why I'm such a bad kid. And I'm not saying anything. I don't know why I'm bad. I don't know why I'm bad. I know why I'm bad, but I'm not saying it. And so when I was 16, they had enough of me and they sent my ass to prison at 16. Next bomb. When I'm 16 years old, judge is like, I'm done, sent me to prison. And so I went into full-blown prison. And in that first week, I was raped by 2 dudes. And that's the next bomb. Like, there's a lot of bombs here. And so that incident was the last time I was ever going to be victimized ever again, right? I made that oath to myself in that moment, this will never happen again. I don't care what I have to do. And I think I lost my humanity in that moment. I went out and I stabbed the hell out of one of them. And I found something powerful in that. And so being 16 and stabbing the hell out of this guy, the gang saw it. The gangs didn't know what happened. Nobody knew that I was raped, right? Like these two, they ran into the cell during chow time. Everybody went to chow. They ran in, had their way with me, and then left. And then when the doors opened again, I ran out and just stabbed the crap out of the guy. So in the eyes of the gangs, they're like, dude, this kid's a gangster, bro. Like, and they came and they recruited me. They're like, yo, we want to put you down, bro. You're a gangster. All you got to do is go stab that guy. Fine. And I saw this path to protection for myself and empowerment. And I became a very violent gangbanger for 5 years. That's all I did. I fell fully into prison culture. I was raised by wolves. I became this guy. It was all about working out, getting tattoos, gangbanging, getting money, and being violent. And then when I was 21, they opened the doors and were like, you're free, go. No probation, no parole, no nothing. Here's 3 condoms and $75. Good luck. And I was so far gone at that point in my life. Like I'm 21 years old and I have no compassion. I don't care about anything, anybody. And then you unleashed me to the world. And so I went out, I robbed somebody the first day I was out. I got into robbing drug dealers. It was a freaking easy money. And I was violent. And I got a couple of girls pregnant real quick. I ran across the country like a chicken with my head cut off, breaking into shit, robbing, just being just a stain on society. And I got caught again back in Michigan in 2004, and when I was 23, and they sent me back to prison for 12 years. And it was much the same until 2008. My brother decided that he was going to have an affair with the mother of my oldest child and took my kid from me, took her from me, and I was just left with nothing. That was all I had. And so I kind of lost my mind. And at the same time, not long after that, somebody ran into my cell and stole all my stuff while I was at work. And so I beat the guy pretty bad. And that's when I went to the hole for 19 months. They took me to the hole, and I'm covered in pepper spray and blood, and they threw me in the cell, and I'm sitting over there steaming, and I'm trying to let the rage subside. And I hear him, "Hey, white boy, come talk to me." Fuck you, man. I got up, bro. Shut up talking to me, man. I will kill you, bro. You do not know who you're messing with, my guy. Shut up talking to me. And he didn't stop. "Hey, white boy, come talk to me. Come talk to me." And about a week later, I went down and saw the security classification committee, and they gave me 5 years in the hole. And they were like, "Yeah, you're going to be here for 60 months. So just go lay down." And I came back, and I was kind of relieved because being in the hole is a bit of a reprieve from the violence of being on the yard. You don't have to have a violent time in prison unless you choose to, right? And I absolutely chose to. So this was a good reprieve. And I sat in the hole, and then loneliness starts kicking in. And what do you want to talk about, dude? Fine. What? Why are you so angry? And that pissed me off when he asked me that. And so that led to me going down through that path. And the second question he ever asked me was, "What are you passionate about?" And I had no answer. And he's like, "If you don't understand why you're angry and you have nothing that you're passionate about in life, you're literally wasting time. And you've got nothing but time. You've got 5 years to sit in that room over there. You might as well figure it out." And so we started writing, right? The man helped me to understand. I said I suck at writing, but and I kind of do, but I started to write essays, and I started to write. And one of the most profound things the man ever taught me to do was to write my own obituary. And I wrote it, and he did not accept it. And it took me about a month and a half of rewriting. But at the end of it, the most profound thing happened: profundity. I had a blueprint for how I wanted my life to look. And I was like, but how do I become this guy? Right? The guy that I wrote about in my obituary, how do I become this guy? And I started to read. I started reading every self-help book. I started to feel remorse for the things that I did. I started to feel bad for the people that I've hurt. Because I was hurt, and hurt people, right? And so that's the way that I dealt with my internal hurt, was by hurting other people in a way of protecting myself. And so I started to feel really bad, and I went through ridiculous crying sessions, and I went through depression and sadness and self-loathing. And when you're at rock bottom, stuck in a freaking box, and there's nowhere to go, right? And it's like, I have to get up. I cannot allow what I've done or what's happened to me to hold me here anymore. I have to get up and rebuild. And so I'm going to rebuild myself, right? And I did. I started to rebuild my personality, and taking things from The Rock and Denzel Washington and George Clooney. And I'm like, okay, let me put these things together and rebuild myself. And I started to smile, and I started to care, and I took an oath of nonviolence. I will never hurt somebody ever again. And I stuck to those guns, right? No matter what. And it was not an easy thing. But I did such a good job at writing these essays that they started to give them to the administration in the prison, and they started to come and say, this is really profound stuff that you're writing, and it's really good. We're going to submit it, if we can, to the local library. And I won an award from a local library, and they came in and they were like, we're going to give you any book from the library that you want. And so I started to get a lot of books on stoicism and philosophy. And Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning is one of the most amazing books that I've ever read in my life. And I read this book, and Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor who lost everything in his life and survived the Holocaust, right? And he smiled through the whole thing and was kind and compassionate to everybody around him. And so I did. And that was it. I spent the rest of my time mentoring. I had to go through some crap when I got out. They actually let me out of the hole early. They had me teach this class. They were like, would you read through the material and teach a class, and we'll let you out of the hole? I said, absolutely. And so they put me in protective custody to teach this class. And this was like one of the most amazing things that happened in this whole thing is the people I taught are 95% pedophiles. And I thought to myself, this is going to be a test, right?
Because it's like, how can you face these people who have victimized kids just like you were victimized, and speak to them from an impartial place to instruct them to be better people when they are morally bankrupt.
Right. And I had to find a way to have compassion for them and empathy for them. And that was not easy. That was difficult. And I would like to think that I had an impact on their lives to the point that they realize what they're doing is wrong, and they don't do it anymore. Because pedophiles get an easy run, right? You get 2 to 4 years, 2 to 5 years, and you don't have to do a whole lot of time in prison for destroying a child's life. And so I felt maybe I could change the way that they think, and that maybe they would go out and be good people. And so getting through that, once I was released, now you've got the gang came back at me like, oh, what's up, bro? You're back. Here's your knife. And like, no, I don't need it, man. Keep it. I'm done. I'm not going to gangbang it. Well, they don't like that. Well, you can't just quit. Well, I am. I'm not going to do it anymore. And you were in protective custody now. So we're finding that out. And it went downhill for about a year. I was constantly jumped. I've got scars on my head from being beat in the chow hall I got stabbed twice. I got a big nasty scar here. I got a big nasty scar in the back of my leg. They stabbed me, they beat me, but eventually I won, right? Eventually kindness and compassion won, and they left me alone, right? And so I spent the rest of my time mentoring guys. I dropped my level, and then I got out in 2016, about 6.5 years ago, almost 7 years ago now. And I have dedicated my life to helping people and making that change. It hasn't been easy. I haven't been perfect. I've made my mistakes, but I'm experiencing life kind of for the first time as a normal human being. And so I make mistakes, but I own my shit. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can do for self-help and self-recovery is in mental health, is to own your shit, right? Everybody makes mistakes. You can't beat yourself up for it's not. Rocky said it best. It's not about how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the story in a nutshell of me.
Yeah, man, you've kind of paid in pain. You've paid dues, and it goes back to kind of that positive comparisons or compare days.
Compare days.
It's like I'm thinking maybe that's why we're in each other's lives right now, because you know, I'm thinking maybe I need to hear something that makes me compare myself and go, hey man, things aren't as bad as your the patterns, the self victimization of going like, and I mean, everybody's got their own stories. Everybody. Then this is the thing I say on stage when I say, like, can we please agree to stop comparing ourselves in a way to other people who are showing you a billboard? You're comparing yourself to a billboard version of themselves. They're not showing you who they truly are or what their struggles actually are. You're just seeing what they've got that you're jealous of. And you're crapping on yourself in doing that. The way I look at it, like, birds, right? Birds, some of them still get hit by cars. They got whole sky. Birds, they got the whole sky. Not everybody's got it all figured out.
Right.
Like,
facts.
We're gonna, some of us are birds who are gonna get still hit by cars.
That's a very good analogy, man. I've never thought about that. That's very good, actually. You have the entire sky and yet you still get hit by cars. That's fantastic. I might use that, Cory Kastle.
Please do.
That's really good.
Please do.
That's really good. Yeah, I think, and I think there's a danger in like what social media does to people, right? Like you see it all the time when you go through and people are comparing themselves to billboard versions of what other people put out, and they think that is authenticism, right? They think that that's who people really are, and not knowing that everybody has trauma, right? Everybody has experienced some level of trauma. My trauma is not any worse or better than anybody else's trauma. Trauma is trauma, right?
Yeah, we're not competing over any of that. Like,
yeah, there's
we shouldn't compare as people.
Right. It's not a competition for who's been hurt the most, right? Pain is pain.
The biggest loser, the biggest hurt loser,
right,
is a new reality series.
Yeah, and I think that right now, especially in our society, there is this big emphasis on victimization, right? There's this big emphasis on I'm offended, I've been hurt, and I need so much recognition and validation for the hurt that I've endured, and I need the world to validate that hurt. And it's psychologically damaging to do that, right? Because that's not proper healing, right? By people coming in and be like, oh my God, you poor thing. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened. I'm so sorry for you. That's not going to heal your pain. That's not going to heal the trauma. That's not even a Band-Aid, right? That's just somebody saying I'm sorry for something they had nothing to do with. And their apologies, and that doesn't do anything for my pain, right? Sending me prayers does nothing, right? Sending me hugs does nothing. That's internal work that has to start with yourself, right? You have to learn to let go, because past pain and past trauma cannot hurt you unless you allow it to, unless you choose to let it, because it's not happening right now. And if you can just live right here, right now, in this moment, and realize it's not happening right now.
Nothing anyone can do can unring the bell. You can't unring the bell. You can't unring the bell of my trauma. I I was in a conversation with the girl, and I said something that she didn't like, and she said, "Take that back." I'm like, "What's that gonna do? What's it gonna do? You heard me say the thing. What is me taking it back gonna do? Are you
That's what I
12?"
said.
Right.
Right. I can't take it back. There is no take back.
What is taking it back gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's pretend I didn't just say that, but you know I did, and I know I did.
I take it back. Does that make you feel better?
Here it is.
It doesn't
I've
change
taken it. No, it doesn't change a dang thing. Not one single second.
No. And the sad thing is, in today's society, they will go back and attack you for something you said 10 years ago.
Oh man.
And it's like,
dude, I was 10 years ago, man. I was terrible. I mean, I wouldn't want to be my friend 10 years ago. I wouldn't want to know me 10 years ago. But that 10 years ago version of me, to see me now and to talk to me now would be inspired and want to be more like what I am now. So why would somebody see something I wrote 10 years ago and hold me over fire for it? Because I'm not the guy that needs to be punished for that. That guy back there needs to be punished for that. Like,
and the hypocrisy of it is astonishing, right? Because these people will come out and ridicule you for something you said or did 10 years ago. But what did they do 10 years ago? Right? You haven't walked a sainthood life. Right? Just because somebody might not know about something that you've done doesn't mean you didn't do it. Right? And so I don't understand how some people sleep at night, spending their days bashing and ridiculing people when your life was pretty bad, right? Like, I have my youngest son's mother now. She's a big YouTuber. She's got like almost 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and literally has built this whole thing on a fake facade, right? And of getting people to feel sorry for her, and she's constantly bashing on trans people, gay people. She's like this super pro-Trump, pro-conservative, pro-Republican, and that's not who you were 5 years ago, right? You were not that person before I left, right? That's not who I was with. And that those kind of people are so damaging, right? Because you influence people. People listen to you. People take what you say and act upon it. And you're going to get somebody hurt, right? And that's the craziest part. When you put out hate speech and hateful thoughts and hateful things, somebody that watches you is going to ingest that and might hurt somebody.
Right.
And that
put action. They're put action to the negativity.
It's the worst of the worst, right? When you accuse like a drag queen of grooming kids, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, right? Like, drag has been a thing for hundreds of years, right? In England, I forget what they call it, but in England, they've had drag shows for the longest time. Nobody went back and tried to cancel the Rocky Horror Picture Show, right?
Right.
Nobody tried to cancel that, and that sure as hell didn't groom kids. But all of a sudden, now let's attack every transgender person, every gay person, every drag queen, and accuse you of grooming my kids. So what that says to me, from an independent standpoint, is that you are putting your child under their influence. You're not raising your kids. You're not watching your children. You're putting them under somebody else's influence, because that's the only way that person in another freaking country can groom your child, is if you sit your child in front of that person's content and say, watch closely. Right? How is that a thing?
There's got to be proactive parenting happening, but people are so used to the screens racing their kids. They want to appear righteous. They want to appear to have some sort of like, oh, this is an outrage. This is ridiculous. And it's like, no, it's just pay attention to what your kids are doing. Tend to your garden. Tend to your garden. I just had this conversation the other day with my friend Lou, and it was like, and he was telling me about some interactions he was having with these people in his like Facebook comments. And he's like, and then I said this, and then she said that, and then I said this, and he said that. And then I responded with this. And I was like, you understand that these people that you're talking to are probably doing this to 100 other people. And you're just one of 100 people that they're like, it's like you're taking it way too personally because it's you and it's only you. But to them, you're one of 1,000 people that they're going through this thing with. And that's kind of the same thing with, you know, these people who are afraid. And it's like,
fear.
And then another part of the conversation I was having was like I've been going to the pride parades. I have a lesbian mom. My brother's gay. My sister's a lesbian. Like I'm sort of an ally in the community. My
huge ally.
My girlfriend's sister is a trans girl, and her uncle is a trans man. And I love these people. Like they're like family.
Human beings.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I think a big thing that most people don't do is people who want to judge drag queens or LGBT or trans people, or, you know, people want to judge them quickly, having no relation with anybody like that in their life, not loving somebody, because and this is a hard line my mom taught me when I was a kid. And I don't know if she even said the words, but the intention was here. There's a humongous difference between tolerance and acceptance. Don't tolerate people, accept people.
Thanks.
And I look at that as far as like, I hope and I expect for you to accept me, not tolerate me, not listen to every word I say and then wait for something to hurt your feelings. I want you to just accept that this is here for us to learn off of each other. We're all free. We're all free. We all want to be heard. We all want to be seen. We all want to be loved.
Yeah, and I think most people, I'd say most, and it's sad to say most people, but it's a huge majority of people are living their lives waiting to be offended, right? Like, because that gives them something of substance that they can complain about and join the herd, right? Because the majority of people that's what they do. They complain, right? They're a bunch of whinging palms, as they would say in England. Like, you're just complaining about your life instead of fixing it, instead of taking memento mori, man. That's what the Stoic says. If you were to die tomorrow, was this how you wanted to live your last day? Is this how you want to spend the last day of your life, doing whatever it is you're doing today, right? And so I wake up and I read Stoic book every morning. I have it's a great book called The Daily Stoic, and it's refreshing, because what you ingest is how your day is going to go. If you own your mornings, you'll own your day. And so every morning I'm very ritualistic about it. I go out, I sit on my deck, and I just soak in the sun for 10 minutes, man. And I just am grateful to be able to breathe, to be able to have fresh air, to have the sun on my face. So I just sit in quiet gratitude for 10 minutes. And then I read my daily Stoic. And that's how I start my day. Like, if this is going to be my last day on earth, I want to do the things that I'm going to be remembered for, right? And that's how I attack every single day. And that helps me to keep kindness and compassion at the forefront of my thoughts. And it navigates my day, right? It's the captain of my ship, kindness and compassion. And I go at it like that every day. And I have such a fulfilling life, right? It's such a fulfilling thing. Right. I own a cat cafe. I'm a professional photographer. I just shot RuPaul's new event last night. And it was just amazing to see all these people. I mean, there's tons of people here celebrating happiness and love and kindness. And I just don't understand why anybody would have a problem with that. Right. Like, I don't understand the hateful mindset. And it's crazy, because I used to be such a hateful guy. And I look back and I still can't I still can't empathize with it. I still can't understand why. I don't know why I was such a hateful person. I know why I was such a hateful person, because I was literally just projecting my own pain to the world.
Yeah, you were you were ill-equipped to deal with the circumstances that found themselves in your life.
Facts.
And how could you be equipped? You're 6 years old. Like,
yeah, no child is ready to handle that.
Right. So,
but it doesn't excuse a lifetime of horrible behavior. Unfortunately, it took a long time for me to come across it. And so that's kind of my goal in life, is to try to reach people that may be going through a similar circumstance and help them get better quicker. So you don't have to live a life of pain and suffering and hurt. And you don't have to hurt other people, because nothing is more fulfilling than living a life of kindness and love. I literally get to smile every day and shake hands and hug people. And my life has done a complete 360. Like, I'm great friends with the chief of police and the freaking city manager. And I have such great friends in my life that I never would have before, right? Like, and it's because of kindness and love, right? That's literally all you need. It takes just as much energy to be kind and nice and loving as it does to be hateful and hurtful and mean, right? And the payout is so much better, right? Even if you want to look at it from a selfish standpoint, the payout of being nice and kind is so much better than being hateful, right? Because you are what you put out to the world, right? So if you put out hate and misery and anger, your life is going to be mad, angry, sad, filled with bullshit. Your life is not going to be good, right? But if you put out kindness and compassion, and it's not a hard lined guarantee that if you're a hateful, mean person, your life's going to suck, because you have the Donald Trumps of the world, you have the Hitlers of the world, and they were horrible people, and they had great lives, right? But I also believe that people like that have to exist for us to learn, right? They're like a muse for us to learn from, right? You learn. Hitler taught the world how to care, right? Because he did such horrible things to human beings that it invoked a mass caring in the world, right? People gave a shit about that.
Yeah, and it was an expensive lesson that we had.
It was a very expensive lesson, and it was a necessary evil, right? That happened, and it's happened all throughout history. But we tend to erase history, right? We tend to take it away. I was having a conversation with a kid the other day, and he's actually a kid that's working on my social media for our upcoming book. And I said, it's like Malcolm X, and he doesn't know who Malcolm X is. How do you not know who Malcolm X is? Right? You're 25. How do you not know who Malcolm X is? And it's because our culture now is so filled with trying to one up each other and trying to be proper and not offend anybody, that we're not teaching people about profound human beings that have influenced the world, like Gandhi and there's just so many people, and we lose that. And I was just shocked by the fact that you don't know who Malcolm X is.
I think it has to do with modern propaganda. So
Fact.
I think it has to do with the fact that we'd rather erase history than learn from it. So that's why Aunt Jemima's fired, Uncle Ben is fired. Like, and like, no, these were historic. These brands, these are historic things, and now you're just making them go away. If there's
and I don't understand that. These are people that came from oppression and arose above their station. They overcame and built something for themselves and their children, and we're erasing it.
Right. Taking away these icons isn't taking away slavery. Slavery happened, and we need to know it happened. Like
Right.
we don't need to put like horse blinders on to oppression that happened.
And they turned their heads to the fact that it's happening now, right? There are
Right.
child slaves. There are humans trafficking slaves. There's rape on massive levels that happens around this world. There's kids that are raised in cages. Like, you find them every once in a while. You see a news story pop out, 12-year-old boy found in a house, and this kid was raised in a dog kennel and beat his whole life. And you're offended because there's a drag queen out there performing?
Right. I think it's a Joe Rogan thing that he talks about pretty often when he says you're tweeting about how outraged you are about these things on a phone that the battery was built by slaves in the Congo, the lithium ion mines. They have babies strapped to their backs, breathing in, inhaling all this rubble. Like
people that wear diamond earrings and they don't give a shit where it comes from. Right? There are literally, for your diamonds and your emeralds and your rubies, people died to get that so that you could have a nice necklace. And yet
it's like you're cherry picking hypocrisy.
Right. And while you're on your phone complaining and yelling about the drag queen or whatever else, you're rocking all the things that came from treachery.
Right.
And it's the absent-mindedness of it just blows my mind. So one of the staples that my wife and I have for our cat cafe, everything that we do, every product that we have in there, we go in deep depth to see where it came from, right? The genesis of the product. So we work with LGBTQ owned companies, veteran owned companies. Our coffee roaster is such a magnanimous human being. He's amazing. He flies to every farm that he sources his beans from and ensures the ethical treatment of all employees from that farm before he works with them. So we know that every single product that we have in our establishment comes from fair trade, fair treatment, ethical sources, because all you got to do is think about the stuff that you have, right? And just think about it for a minute. And if it hurts somebody, don't support it.
I say this a lot, and please feel free to use this. And if you say my name and you give me credit for it, cool. If not, I don't care. But I always say that we are the bait that we bite into.
Ooh, I like it. Cory Kastle quote.
Like, so almost everything nowadays is designed to get your clicks. Everything is clickbait. And then sometimes everything is like some outrage bait or some sort of and if you're consuming stuff that aligns with that, be that bait. We are for sure. Like, you don't have to reach for every dangling carrot. Some carrots that dangle, you just go up. There's a carrot.
Yep. Not all. You don't have to bite everything that dangles in front of your face.
And that everybody who's gonna have a problem with you has a problem with everybody else. I've learned from a young age. My mom has said to me, like, back when I was a kid, I had to wear an eye patch in school, and like I used to get bullied a lot. I was in special ed, and my mom would be like, whoever's saying this to you, consider the source. Think about where it's coming from. Who is saying it to you, and how do you threaten them? Or maybe like, what is their life like? Do they have a parent that loves them? Because you have one that loves you. These people have two, and they probably don't show them the attention and the love that they need. And then I more and more now that I think about it, it makes me makes me so grateful that my mom taught me that lesson when I was a kid. But I didn't like, it didn't take away that it hurt. It didn't take away that I still felt my feelings. She didn't invalidate my feelings, but she taught me a different way to look at it.
Give me some perspective. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I endured tremendously horrible bullying, right? Like I went through a lot. I was, a very introverted kid who had an extroverted personality. And so that dichotomy that was going on inside of me, wanting to be extroverted, wanting to have friends and be nice, or to be funny. I always wanted to be funny. I was always trying to make people laugh and very extroverted, and I loved music, and I was always trying to just perform and whatnot. And that put a target on my back because I had such low self-esteem because of what was happening to me. I thought that if I had poor hygiene, if I stunk, if I had bad clothes, people wouldn't want to hurt me, right? Because that's all I was knowing most of my childhood was people wanting to touch me. And so I did my best to be a repellent. And it has the exact opposite effect when it comes to bullies, right? So I'm getting beat and thrown into lockers, thrown into trash cans, just getting whooped on all the time. I had my nose broken by his name was Troy. He was probably 16 or something. He was in high school. I was probably 10, 11. And he just broke my nose, punched me right in broke the shit out of my nose right on the school bus. And it just, enduring that kind of stuff, it's traumatic for a child, right? And again, not invalidating your feelings. The fact that, my mother said much of the same things as well, like, consider who's saying it, it's they're just doing it because they're hurt at home. Well, that didn't stop the hurt and it didn't stop the pain, but it does give perspective. And as older now, looking back, it's like, okay, I endured that, and I would hope that I could help teach somebody who might be able to reach their kids, because bullies aren't just naturally bullies. Nobody's inherently a bully, right? We all come from love. At some point it's broken and we don't know how to deal with it. And so a lot of kids that are bullies come from homes where parents hate their jobs, right? And they come home. There's a study that showed that parents that work 10 to 12 hours a day have better kids, right? And it's because they work hard and they're not there. Parents that hate their jobs tend to have bullies as kids because they come home and they take it out on their family, right? They don't know how to leave it at home. They come home mad, angry, pissed off at the day, pissed off at their job, mad about it, and then the kids take that in, right? And then they lash out when they go to school, and it's sad, right? And so I think it's incumbent upon human beings to teach, right? If you can't just sit silently by the sidelines. That's just as bad as doing bad stuff, right? Not doing something is just as bad as doing something bad, right? And so
nobody scores from the sidelines,
right? We have to teach, man. We have to go out and we got to use our voices. I believe that our voice is the one thing that separates us from every other living thing on the planet. We're the ones that have voices for a reason, right? We have these things for a reason, because the more you talk about your trauma, the more you talk about your pain, the easier it gets to talk about it. And that's called processing, and that's healing, right? A lot of people that suffer from prolonged depression and prolonged self-loathing, it's because you don't talk about it. So all you talk about is how sad you are. You don't talk about the genesis of your sadness. And if you were to speak it more, not only does it become easier for you to speak because you're healing, that's the process of healing, but people that hear it also benefit from it because they have trauma in their lives, and hearing you speak about it makes them more apt to speak about it.
Right. It normalizes it.
Right. And so we need to stop ridiculing people for expressing their trauma and celebrate that, right?
I think if anything, I had to say that was like any kind of major takeaway from any kind of conversation I have with anyone ever, it is always that thing that my mother taught me about: consider the source, consider exactly where it's coming from, who it's coming from, and why.
It makes
I was saying
it makes you nicer to the people that are doing it, right? Like right. If you see somebody that's being an asshole to you, it's easier to be like, it's okay, man. I understand. You're hurt. You're angry.
You don't need to apologize.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize for me to forgive you. I forgive you already.
I forgive you anyway, man.
I've been hurt too. I get it.
Yep, I get it. And you might not get it now, but you will someday, hopefully.
I was saying also to my friend Lou the other day about, I've been in this pro wrestling game, working hard for a really long time. And at this point, I would say in September, it's coming up on 21 years that I've been in the wrestling business, in the professional wrestling business. And I would say, ask around about me in the business, and ask about my reputation. Anybody who has a problem with me is also somebody who has a problem with everybody. No one who has a problem with me doesn't already have a problem with fucking everybody,
Right. And that's it's not an egotistical thing, but if you have a problem with me, it's not me.
Right. The common denominator is you.
Right. I'm a nice guy, man. I literally live my life nicely and kindly. And so if you have a problem with me, I'm sorry for whatever it is that you perceive that I've done to you that makes you have that. But if you break it down, I probably didn't do anything that bad to you. Right.
Yeah, man. We can all grow from all of that. Like, so if hearing me say your problem with me is your problem with you, like I'm not the only one who you probably have this problem with. Let's kind of break it down. Let's grow from it. Let's evolve through it. Like that's kind of my whole brand, I think.
Yeah. And that's how people should live their lives, right? Because you never know who's watching you, right? I don't care if I put out a video and it gets 3 views, right? One of those 3 viewers might be going through some shit in their lives and they needed it, right? And if you can change one person's life, it's worth it. That every human life is so valuable, right? Every living person is valuable, right? You are necessary to the earth. You provide something to the earth, even if it doesn't look like or you don't think you do. You provide something, right? Your life is valuable, and every single life is worth saving.
Well, I always say now what this is going to be episode 295 of Evolving with Cory Kastle. I've been saying it for about 294 episodes. How important it is for me to do this for me, right? So in my mind, I'm having these conversations with people, and maybe I'm speaking my mind. I'm talking into a microphone, giving my methods that worked for me, and who knows who hears any of those things? And what if nobody hears it? No, if nobody hears it at all. But then because this stuff, the internet, people bring up shit you did 10 years ago to try to cancel you for it. I hope 10 years from now somebody brings up this kind of stuff and like gets some value out of it. If one person changes their perspective, inspires somebody else, take something I said. So just like I said, if you use this, apply it, you don't have to even give me credit for it, because if this helped your life some, I'll feel like maybe that's what I'm put on this planet for. Maybe
100%.
maybe that's why I'm on this earth. And, it could be 10 years after I've died, like
and I know it goes against your toleration thing, but Epictetus famously said, and Epictetus was a Stoic philosopher, and he said that we are all born for the sake of each other, either teach or tolerate. And I think it was such a profound statement because you need to do one of those two things. And I think in that instance, toleration is acceptance, right? And
yeah, I think it's there to learn you something.
Right. And so if you're not going to be a teacher, accept people, be tolerant, understand that the world is not all about you. Right? And whatever somebody does in their personal life has no bearing on you at all. No bearing on you whatsoever. And if it has a bearing on your children, then you're not being a very good parent. Like you said earlier, tend your own garden, man. Right? Don't stop giving a phone or a tablet to your 9-year-old and be a parent, right? Be present. Stop looking for a cheap, easy babysitter and be present. That's
unless you show your kid on YouTube episodes of Evolving with Cory Kastle, and that's it. Go right ahead.
I totally support that. I have a 5-year-old right now that I haven't seen since he was 2, and I probably won't see him for a while because his mother is just such a treacherous person, right? She's so filled with hate that she won't, I don't get, and I've spent $20,000 in lawyers and legal fees over the last year just trying to see my kid. And it's my sincere hope that all of these things that I put out, all these podcasts, all the videos, the books that I write, everything that I do, that when he grows up, he can go back and look and say, my dad was not a piece of shit. He was not somebody that abandoned me. He was not somebody that didn't care about me. Parental alienation is such a seriously poisoning and damaging thing when one parent doesn't let the other parent see their kid. And it's not just women that do it to dudes, it's dudes that do it to women. It's a sad thing because you don't care about the child. The child should have both parents. No matter what, I don't care what your feelings are about the other parent. My middle son, who just graduated high school last week, and he's off to the Marines here. His mother and I, we've gotten along most of the time, but as last 4 or 5 months, we just haven't. And but we don't allow that to affect the relationship with the child, right? She has never once tried to poison him against me or keep him from me. None of that, even if we dislike each other or dislike what the other person's doing. And then again, for you, if you ever watch this, it's your goddamn fault, not mine. If you don't like me, it's your fault.
My mom was in therapy when I was a kid, and her therapist told her that she had to let us see for ourselves what our father was like. So she couldn't keep him from us so that we could see what he was truly like. And I had this like kind of breakthrough the other day, like while we were live on the Sunday Stew Pot. I was like, I think that snowballed disappointment, having expectations of like what having 2 parents would be like, and what having a male role model in my life was going to be like. It totally upset that, and it was not what I thought was going to happen. It was, and then since then, every job I've ever had has been self-sabotaged, and I've lost it. Every big opportunity that I swore was coming, and I expectations like crazy, didn't happen for me. No. And I'm now trying to reprogram my heart to ignore the pattern of self-sabotage because of expectations being unrealistic.
Yeah. Self-sabotaging it's a thing. If you don't get it under control, it can deteriorate you, right? Like it can really
listen, all of y'all, it's a sabotage.
Listen, all y'all, it's a sabotage. I didn't know my father most of my life. I saw him like 3 times. I called him when I got sent to prison from the county jail. I don't know. I don't even remember how I had his number or how I knew it, but I did. And I called him. Dad, I'm going to prison. Good luck. Thanks. That's all I needed to hear. And that was the last time I spoke to him until 6 months ago. My wife actually found him on Facebook. She was perusing through Facebook and she's like, I think I found your dad. Like, wow, I haven't seen this dude in 30 years almost. And I look, no mistaken, that's my father, 100%. I can tell immediately by the picture. And I immediately reached out on Facebook and I'm like, yo. And he responded and it was like, and now we have a decent relationship. Like I can call my father and talk to him and I can send a message and there's no point in being spiteful, right? Like I don't know what the hell he went through. And I haven't asked and I still haven't asked. I don't know that I don't need to know, right? It's not going to change the fact that you weren't there. And I'm just grateful that I have the ability to reach out and say hi to my father, right? And I don't know what the hell he went through in his life that compelled him to not be there for us. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because the path that I've walked in my life, I'm happy. I'm very happy with who I am. I'm very happy with the place I am in life. And you not being there didn't affect that at all. And again, I think a lot of people look for excuses to validate their shortcomings, right? Like, I'm unhappy because my father was never there. That doesn't give you an excuse to be a dick.
Well, look, real quick, I guess this will circle back a little bit. When you talked about like Hitler and Trump and all that stuff, and you were like, those people need to be those people so that I can be me. The shit about my father, that all that stuff, I needed that. I fully forgive you without you ever apologizing, because if you hadn't left, I wouldn't be who I am now, and I couldn't imagine me being anybody else. So,
and that's the thing about life, and so another Stoic philosophy is amor fati, and that is basically love the process, right? If every single thing that ever happened in our lives had not happened, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be here, right? And I'm so thoroughly happy and grateful for who I am and the life that I have that I would relive every single thing that has ever happened to me twice. I would do it all again because it's made me who I am. Your life has made you who you are. Everybody's life has made them who. Everything happened because it was supposed to, right? And it defined us. It defined who I am. It defined who you are. And if you're happy with who you are, why would you want to go back and change anything? A lot of people are, what would you go back and change about your life? Nothing. I would endure it all again because I'm so happy and blessed and grateful for the life that I have.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a segment I do here on the show where I call it audio time travel. Now I named it that when the show was audio only. Now this is video. It's video and audio. This media is outliving us, right? So
yeah,
I like to say a lot of things on the record, right? So that so that it's important if you hear this back, like in a year or something, you can put a timeline on, you can put a time capsule on who you were when this conversation happened. So before I get into the audio time travel, I just want to say on the record how excited I am that we're friends now, and this is just the beginning. And I can't wait to see where this goes.
I can't wait to come watch you wrestle. I got to do it. Mark my words, that's going to happen.
I'm marked.
And it's on video, so I can't get away from it. So actually, you actually have evidence of. Remember this? I'm retiring tomorrow, so you better get your ass out of here.
So going into that, saying like, oh, that whole thing about like, would you be happy with how you live today if tomorrow was your last day? You were saying that, and right. That hit me. Memento especially mori, when it comes to if somebody stumbles across this media, this episode of this podcast, somebody happens to stumble across it in 20 years, let's say 2043, someone stumbles across it, the people who love you the most stumble across it, and right now the next things you say are going directly to those ears. So it's the future right now. You're speaking to the future. Your kids.
2043.
Yes. So whatever you say next, it is 2043, and you're speaking to the people who love you the most, or maybe even yourself. Maybe you've stumbled across this, but there's a chance you might not be here to hear this. So what are you saying to the people who love you, who are discovering what dad's like, what Sonny's like right now?
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
so you make reference to a movie that's already 30 years old. So 20 years from now.
You got it. Right. Yes. Yes. No. I would 100% say it's as relevant now in 2043 as it is in 2023, as it is in 1993, as it was in 1893. Love is everything. Love and kindness. Be kind, be loving. That's all you need in this lifetime is love and kindness. Don't ever forget that. Nice. Yeah. I think that's what I would say to everybody. I want anybody to know that. Just be kind and love. Your heart has an infinite capacity to love, right? Do it. Give it away. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just shower the world with love and kindness, man. Profound, indeed. Yes. I wish I had a beard like you, man. I could just rub it. And a big mustache. I could just rub it.
Well, is there, since I'm saying on the record stuff, since,
on the record,
like I was saying, this is still the beginning. Is there any statements or questions that you might have for me personally that you want on this episode?
I mean, we could totally spiral this from guest to host, man. Because again, I've hosted a lot of podcasts, and
I'm kind of throwing the microphone right at you for you to start interviewing me for a minute.
I just took the microphone, so let me take this over here. I think you are a very unique individual, and I want to know how that happened, right? Like I want to know what compelled you to evolve, and what was the premise for you wanting to put out this type of content, this type of media, and where did your interest start from wanting to help people evolve? How did that happen? Because it just doesn't happen, right? There's a catalyst for everything.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, I was listening to a lot of shows that inspired me. I wanted, I wanted to have something that I'd want to hear. If I wasn't me, I'd want to hear the kind of conversations that I want to have with people on the show. So like, I look at my own life all the time and I go, if I wasn't me, I'd want to be me so bad. And I don't mean that in a conceited way. I mean that as humble as possible, because when I was a kid, if I could see a window into the future and I looked like this, I'd be so I look, my life looked like this, and I was pursuing my dreams and I was helping people at the same time, that I'd feel like why not do it? So back in the day, so this is my third podcast. So in 2012, I had a podcast with my friends. We did like a comedy podcast, and then that grew into like a pro wrestling podcast. So where we would talk about wrestling. So it would be a wrestle talk show, and we only had 1 hour. We had studio space every Friday to do 1 hour, and we only talk about wrestling. But I was also listening to tons of podcasts that I really liked. Like I was really into podcasting while we were doing that. And I remember being like, at the end of each week, there would be a whole lot of stuff I'd want to say about myself personally that I couldn't share because it was too off topic, or it was just, so I wanted to start my own thing, not because I wanted to like do something more than without those guys. I just wanted to have my own thing where it's something that shows a growth. Like if I kind of wish that I had this back in like 2001. Like I wish that this has gone back even further back. So I started it in 2017, and it was like, all right, so I have not really been too vulnerable with people, and not a whole lot of people actually know who I really am. And this could give somebody the opportunity to kind of like understand me a little bit more. And it would help me understand me a little bit more, because this is like therapy to me. I'll have breakthroughs on here. I'll get emotional on here. And that's 100%. That's something I'd want to hear if I wasn't me. So I want to put some value into the world by using my voice. And I was saying it for a really long time. And I think probably 2009 or 10 or something like that, I started writing an autobiography. I started writing a book about my life. And I was like, oh, I'll just wait to put it out because I'm not like famous or anything yet. Like people won't start reading a book if they don't know who the person is giving them an autobiography. Right. Like, right. So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I really like the idea of writing an autobiography, because what if I write a thing that I believed in 2010 that I don't believe anymore, like in 2020? So I thought about Wayne's World. Remember Wayne's World when he was like, what if you had a weekly show where you could update the people about new products and new games that you have at Noah's Arcade? And I was like, okay, well, podcasting, like this is the new literate. This is like new what is the word? What I'm trying to say?
Literature.
Literature. Yes. This is like, it's like I'm writing a new book every week. And I'll still write a book, but I'll have a whole chapter about, hey, if I say anything in here that you don't agree with, there's a good chance I don't agree with it either anymore.
I love that. That's awesome. I think it's such a wonderful thing that you're doing, man. For real. I think people that dedicate their time for an endeavor like this it's good, right? You are putting good into the world. I'm a chronic yawner. Don't hold that against me. You're putting good into the world, man, and it's a very good thing. We need more people to do that, right? More people need to be vulnerable. More people need to be approachable, and it's a good thing.
And it's made me better on the microphone in wrestling. It's made me better on the microphone at comedy. Like I'm now trying to focus in comedy in being more present, and that's something that is like a very recent thing that I've noticed, that I kind of lost my being present on stage, but I'll get there as long as I continue to work on it.
My dog just farted, man, like a legit fart too. Like you're disgusting. Now she has to come on and say, "All right, come here, come here." Oh, geez, you stink. This is my Sophie Grace. She's my puppy. She's a rescue puppy, and I love her to pieces, even when she farts. And you are a stinky girl. And I love her to pieces. It's my Sophie Grace. She's a rescue dog. She was found in a box. Not doing too bad for a dog from a box.
Yeah.
I gotta run, bro. I gotta go to the cafe. I gotta get ice to the cat cafe.
Okay.
We open in an hour and a half. I thought I had more time, but I don't.
Some real quick things, just like 2 quick things, and I'll send you off into the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Hot dog and a handshake, I'm in.
So something, it made me think of it because you brought your dog up on screen for any of the audio listeners. If you didn't see the dog, whoops, subscribe on YouTube. But
yeah, go subscribe to Cory Kastle on YouTube, and you can see the Sophie Grace.
But I think I went and saw Christopher Titus. Do you know who Christopher Titus is? He's a comedian.
I do know Christopher Titus. Yeah, I used to have that show on TV. What was it? Growing Up Titus, maybe?
Oh, I thought it was just called Titus.
But, it might have just been Titus. Yeah.
He said, if anybody were to ever ask me for any kind of advice, here's the kind of advice I'd give you. Like when a dog sees a ball, that ball is all they see. So be that ball. Yeah, fuck ball. Yeah. Be that about anything.
Right.
So so that ties together the being more present thing. Be that ball. Be that dog with that ball.
Laser focused.
Okay. So
on everything.
The way we wrap it up every time is I'll say like, I don't know. Did you catch Jerry Springer? Do you know who Jerry Springer is?
How the hell would I even be alive if I didn't know who Jerry Springer was?
I don't know. You were inside. I mean, you spent
started
a good
in
amount
like
of time.
The 80s, bro. He was like in the 80s and 90s, and of course I know who Jerry Springer is, man.
Okay.
What do you
say?
So
at the end
of yourself and each other, right? At the end of every episode.
Right. So before that, he would do a final thought. So before he did that closing, he would do a final thought where he would get like the takeaways and the lessons to learn from that episode.
Yeah.
In your best Jerry Springer's final thought, how would you wrap up? How would you wrap up and get the best takeaways to inspire somebody to be a better version of themselves tomorrow?
I would want to tell people that. Wait, let me get my best Jerry Springer on. Every day we live. I would admonish people to just try it on for size. Give yourself 7 days where you absolutely do not get mad or angry about anything. Look at everything with love and kindness for 7 days. If your life is not better in 7 days, then go back to doing whatever the hell you want to do. But try it on for 7 days. Smile at everybody you see. Damn it. Excuse me. Smile at everybody you see. Be nice to everybody you come across. Shake a hand of everybody you meet. Ask somebody how their day's going. Just be nice and be kind. And try it on for 7 days. And from what I've learned from here, from Cory already, you've taught me a couple of things here. And it's vulnerability in comparing yourself to other people is a detriment to your mental health, right? And I didn't even consider the comparison, the compare-they things before this, but you're 100% right. Comparing yourself to anybody else only gives you as much insight as that person's life has, right? If you're comparing yourself to somebody else, your insight into life and the lessons you're going to learn only will go as far as those people have in their life, right? So be you, be the dog chasing the ball, focus, live for what you know is right, and just be kind and love everybody. And your life is going to be amazing. You can do anything you want to do. You can manifest the life you want. Make the choice. Life is about choice. Kindness, love is a choice. And so is hate and anger and frustration and misery. Those are choices too.
I think
make a better choice.
I think I heard this quote from Lauren, and I forgive me if I'm butchering it, but he said, "Pain is required, suffering is a choice."
Facts. We're all diamonds, right? Diamonds come from shit, and they have to endure a lot of pressure, and they have to endure a lot of pressure, and they come from dirt, and they're horrible. And then once they're pressurized and they're right, then they undergo fire, and they have to go through a ton of fire. And then
shine bright, little fucking diamond.
Right. Shine bright like a diamond. Right. Because you are a diamond, and you're valuable, and every single person is valuable. And you're a diamond. So endure the pressure. Pain is a requirement. Suffering is a choice. That's a beautiful, beautiful quote, Lauren Harris.
What do you do any impressions? What's your best
really.
What's your best impression?
I don't know that I do any impressions. I do accents. Like I talk like a hillbilly all the time. I can do the down south southern hillbilly. I do that pretty well. Because I grew up around a bunch of country folk, and so I do that quite a bit. And that's like my Ted Lasso impression. I do Ted Lasso, except I don't have the mustache. Oi! And of course, I'm working on my British, but my British always comes up sounding like an Aussie, and so I sound Aussie British. And my wife hates it because she's a Brit, and she's like, it's just stupid. It sounds like bollocks.
You're all offending me. I'm all offended.
I'm offended. And one thing I've come to find about Brits that I didn't know before was that they always ask questions. Isn't it? Doesn't it? Wasn't it? Hasn't it? Shouldn't it? Wouldn't it? This thing's lovely, isn't it? You got to go, don't you? You got to go outside, haven't you? It's always a question.
Gotta pee, don't you?
You got to take a pee, haven't you? You got to visit the loo, don't you now?
So in your best Aussie British accent,
Aussie Brit,
we say how we wrap it up is we'll have you say it in the accent. Say the catchphrase of the end of the show. We'll say, "Be fun, have safe, keep evolving."
Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you, man.
Absolute pleasure, brother.
Love you, bro. Thank you. All right. Take care. Bye.
You're gonna end the recording, yeah?
Yeah. But first, I would just speak to the people who may still be here, who may still be listening. If this is your first time checking out Evolving with Cory Kastle, this is your first time consuming anything that has to do with me, I appreciate the F out of the currency of your effort and the currency of your time and your attention, because that is such a precious currency these days. Everything is battling for your attention, and the value of you listening or consuming this in any way. I can't tell you how grateful I am for that. If you could take 1 second before you leave to just make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, Follow me on Truth Social, all that shit on Rumble. I have a new show that I do on Sundays called the Sunday Stew Pod on Rumble with my friend Lou Marconi. Check all that stuff out. If this is your first time and you're already sick of me, you're not hearing me even say this because you've already left. If Sonny, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate you so much. And like I said, I can't wait to see what stuff we help each other with. Because if I can be a resource to you in any way, if there's anything in your mind that you want to ask me at any point, dude, you got my phone number. Call me up.
No doubt. I'll be using it.
I do not have any problems with that.
That's right.
All right. So, before you do all that stuff and during the beginning, middle, end of all of that stuff, be kinder to yourself. Be kinder to other people. Talk to other people like you'd want them to talk to you. Golden rule. But also, be the type of person that you'd want to be. Be the type of person that you'd want to look at and go, oh, I wish I was that person. Go and be that person.
Choose to do it.
You'll be somebody that's never existed before because nobody else has you and has your journey and has your experience and can handle the circumstances and the decisions that all surround the type of person you wanted to be.
Facts.
Be fun. Have safe. And also, what's the other one? Oh, keep evolving. Bye.